So, we've talked a ton about firewalls, encryption, incident response, all the tactical weapons in the cybersecurity arsenal. But today, we're going to rise above the battlefield and look at the command strategy that ties it all together. This is the why behind every single security decision.
I mean, think about it this way. You can have the most advanced, expensive tools in the entire world, but without a coherent plan, they're just expensive noise. So who's the one deciding what gets protected, why it gets protected, and what secure enough even means? Okay, let's get into it.
The answer to all that is a framework called GRC. It stands for Governance, Risk, and Compliance. Now, this isn't another tool you can buy. Think of it as the central command, the strategic brain that directs all your security efforts to make sure they're actually effective, efficient, and, legally sound. So, how does this command center really work? Well, GRC is built on three pillars. They're all distinct, but they're completely interconnected. Let's break them down one by one. First up, you've got governance. This is the leadership function, the steering wheel for the whole organization. It's not about the nitty-gritty technical details, it's about setting the high-level rules, the big picture. For example, a governance policy might say something like, all sensitive customer data must be encrypted. See, that decision isn't just a tech choice. It aligns security with the business goal of keeping customer trust, and it stops every department from just doing their own thing. All right, next we have risk management. You can think of this as your intelligence division. Its job is to figure out all the things that could possibly go wrong, anything from a phishing attack to a hurricane, and then prioritize them. Which ones could hurt us the most? The goal isn't to get rid of all risk. I mean, that's impossible, right? It's to understand it and minimize it in a smart way.
And finally, we've got compliance. This is the part that makes sure the organization is following all the rules, all the laws, and industry standards. Now, it might sound like a bunch of boring bureaucracy, but it's absolutely fundamental. Being compliant isn't just about avoiding some fines. It is a massive trust signal to your customers and your partners that you actually take protecting their data seriously.
We can actually simplify each of these pillars into one core question. Governance asks, are we doing the right things? Risk management asks, what could hurt us the most? And compliance asks, are we following the rules? Thinking about it this way really helps you see how it all fits together into a structured way of making decisions.
And to make risk a little less of an abstract concept, we often use a really simple formula. Risk equals likelihood times impact. This is how you start to quantify threats. A data breach that's very likely to happen and would have a catastrophic impact, well, that's a high priority risk you need to jump on immediately.
And when we talk about that compliance rulebook, let me tell you, it is extensive. Depending on your industry and where you operate, you could be dealing with GDPR in Europe, PCI DSS for credit cards, or specific NIST frameworks if you do government work. And every single one of these comes with huge legal and financial consequences if you fail.
Now, what's so important to get is that these three pillars don't just operate in their own little silos. Not at all. They're designed to work together as one coordinated mission. Let's look at a real-world example to see exactly how this plays out.
Okay, so imagine a hospital. Governance sets the big overarching policy. We must protect all patient data, period. Then risk management does its intel work and says, hey, ransomware is a top threat that could lock up all that data. At the very same time, compliance chimes in and points out that the HIPAA law legally requires specific controls like encryption. So what's the result? A strategic decision to invest in advanced ransomware protection. It's smart and it's legally defensible. See how that works?
This synergy, this teamwork between the three pillars, that is exactly why GRC is so much more than a simple checklist. It takes security from being this siloed technical function and elevates it to a strategic part of the entire organization.
And that brings up such a critical point. Strategy isn't just about documents and policies sitting on a shelf. It's about people. A strong GRC program helps build a real security culture, which is kind of like the organization's immune system. And you can't outsource that. You can't just buy it, and you definitely can't fake it. It has to be built from the inside, with every single employee playing a part.
And just like an immune system, it has to keep getting stronger. GRC is not a one-and-done project. It's a continuous cycle of improvement. You plan your policies, you do the work and implement controls, you check your results through audits, and then you act on what you've learned to make the whole plan even better.
So, why does all of this matter to you personally, especially if you're in a more technical role?
Because understanding GRC, that's what separates a technician from a true strategist.
A technical mindset asks, how does this firewall work? But a strategic GRC mindset asks, why did we choose this particular firewall? And the answer connects all the way back to mitigating a top identified risk and complying with a specific governance policy. It gives you the context, the purpose, the why. And having that why, oh man, that is a career accelerator. It lets you justify security spending to the people in charge. It helps you understand that so many breaches happen because of policy neglect, not just a technical glitch. And it opens up totally new career paths in management, consulting, and auditing.
So, to kind of wrap it all up, GRC is the framework that transforms a bunch of separate good security practices into a single, sustainable, reportable, and accountable system that the business can actually rely on. Ultimately, this gets us to the absolute core idea. Data security isn't just about the tech. It is a complete ecosystem, and that ecosystem depends on the perfect interplay of people, process, and a shared purpose. GRC is what provides the blueprint for that entire ecosystem.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your own organization, or even just your own work, is your security just an arsenal of cool tools, or is it a truly winning strategy?